Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've got another special guest, Dan from Allegedly.
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be here.
What are you seeing going on in California that is noticeable, that's something to really kind of, hey, look at this, guys?
Well, real estate is the big, story out there. We have, it's a beautiful state, but we have issues with homelessness and with crime, and you go to some of these cities that have been absolutely destroyed, like San Francisco. They're not arresting people for stealing. Then, they just had a Whole Foods 2 weeks ago closed down. Think about this. They had a Whole Foods that took 3 years to build, and these stores are beautiful. Had to close it because of crime. I mean, it's sickening. They need to deal with this. They need to deal with, having, community action when it comes to things like that.
Do you think this is caused by rewarding bad behavior? By not punishing people that steal, by taking law enforcement away,
Anybody who's raised kids, what's the first thing you tell them? No, don't do that. Don't touch that. It's hot. Stay away from that. This is for your own good. And you just can't have, a society where crime is running amok. It's anarchy. And you see it in New York City. You see it in all these other places that I will never attend. I mean, last time I was in New York, it was beautiful. And I would never go back there. And I used to go to San Francisco every year for the JP Morgan conference when I was in the medical space in January. And the last time was 2020. And it was so bad, it's only gotten worse from there. And I will never go back there again. But, we're seeing problems like that. Real estate's a huge issue because,
real estate's a big one.
You have areas like Santa Barbara County where 3 years ago the average price was $800,000 and it jumped to $1.6 million for the average house. Crazy. Now it's starting to drop, but is it a deal yet? Because you could get that house at 1.4 million, 1.3 million. Is that a good deal? I say no. I say wait. And I tell everybody, friend, foe, family member, do not buy real estate right now. Wait for it and get patient. I'll tell you a great story. In the UK, they have 100% mortgages are back. And I just talked about this on a video. And it's crazy because they're going to put the poorest people in a depreciating asset and watch the price of these homes go down. And you and your wife have a payment, and the house was worth here is what the bank says, and now it's worth here.
And you're going to owe the premium.
Yeah, forever. And we may never recover from this. And think about this. From all the real estate people I've talked to, and you guys, and the Ninja, and everybody that we have access to, when you look at real estate, nobody seems to think about 2008. They think of it was, a long weekend and it was bad. But guys, it was years. The peak of housing prices was 2006. And then it started to go down. People got their credit lines cut off. People couldn't get access to borrowing money. We're seeing that now. We're seeing that in the auto industry. We're seeing it in the mortgage industry. You're seeing that the banks are pushing HELOCs and the credit lines. Fine, get one of those if you're going to use it properly. But the problem with it is that the banks are now cutting these credit lines off just like they did then. And once the peak happened, it didn't recover until when? 2012.
Right. So
it was a 6-year gap. Now, this time, if you believe a third of what we're saying, all the news, all the access, and the thing that we have and all the other YouTubers that we have access to and everybody with their news is that we get some pretty good intel. We get people that work at banks that, hey, listen, I'll get fired. Don't even use my name because it's unique. They'll know it's me. And we get stories about how they're cutting off mortgage departments and they're turning people down left and right. And they've raised credit score requirements to the moon. And this is just going to kill people.
So going back, does it seem like they're breaking ground everywhere? It seems like they are building, it looks like 2006, 2007, everything is just wide open, build. Real estate goes up forever. Now, we're seeing that all of us think the same. All the intelligent people, and I'm not saying I'm intelligent, I'm saying the people that I try to, I try to keep my friends, all of them smarter than me.
If you're not learning, you're not going to.
I do try not to bring the average down, though.
The one thing is, you're a brilliant guy, dude. That's why, we're friends. The second I met you, I just was like, here's the thing. The thing about Chris that's amazing is that out of high school, Okay? How do I make money? How do I make a living? I'm not going to college. And then looked at welding and became a welder, and then became a brilliant businessman, runs a successful welding company, but owned multiple houses, multiple rental properties, and securing his future with his investments. But to go back to what you're saying, the thing about this is that in my town, in my main city of Tustin, California, I'm driving by my junior high, and I'm looking at the junior high, and across the street, there's 2 office buildings that are roped off, and they start putting fences up, and I'm like, what's that? They're in an industrial area across from the junior high. They're building 41 homes there that are going to be probably $900,000 for an attached house, and they're going to have one low-income house, which I get a kick out of. What's that going to be? What's it going to be? $800,000. I mean, it's going to be nuts. But they're building everywhere, and this is going to be a problem.
It is going to be a problem. Now, I like to talk about solutions. So there are some people that they've got to move for whatever reason. Usually it's a job. They've got
Divorce,
to make a move.
People get sick.
Whatever it may be.
Things happen in life.
Give us a couple of things that we can do right now if we have to move. And you don't want to buy at the top of the market, because there's a lot of people that have to move, and they don't want to, get screwed. So do you have any? What do you think?
I always think, usually when people have to move, it's like, hey, we got to move right now, and they make rash decisions. I am telling you, if there is anything on the horizon where you can, slow it down just a little bit, I recommend living in a community. I recommend living, I have streets I want to buy houses on, and I have been there 1,000 times, and I want to live on those streets first before I buy a house there. And the reason for that, I want to see what it's like on the weekends. I want to see what it's like when it rains. I want to see what it's like when there's a party, when somebody, the idiot down the street brings his boat and blocks everybody. What's the community like? And do I want to live there forever? Because I am telling you, I have people that write me from my channel, and the one that sticks out in my head was 2 nurses that are what they call travel nurses. And they're, hey, we can live anywhere. We can go from here to here to here. They were in San Diego, beautiful. I know the city. I know the cross streets of where they lived. It was beautiful. They moved to Ohio, and they said, wow, Dan, we did not know how bad the crime was in Ohio and the gangs. And I'm like, I didn't know that. And that's the thing. Because if we would have just lived here first, if we would have had a week, we would have realized that we shouldn't have bought a house here. Now they bought a house in an area that is crime infested, and what do you think the odds are now that the downturn has happened to sell that?
Oh man, it's awful. So you're saying rent?
Rent right now. I'm telling you guys, you got to look at this right now.
So there's another thing I'd like to bring up. Campers are about to be on sale. The camper industry is getting hammered.
Oh, right now it's going to be huge.
You could live in a camper near wherever you really wanted to end up. And then if something really did get bad, you could move your camper.
Well, here's the thing that you did, and I owe this to you, in that you always taught, hey, what's your plan B? What's your plan B for your security? What's your plan B for your savings? What's your plan B if something happens in your community and you got to go? And I'm like, well, I know where I would live. I'd go to my relatives here, and I'd go there, and I'd go there. And you said, wait a second. If you had a trailer or you had a camper van and you could move it from A to B, and if the spot you move it to is bad, then you can move it here. And my late girlfriend has a cargo van that was converted, and it's beautiful. And okay, I'll get rid of it. It's not my thing. And then you're the one that convinced me to keep it, because that's plan B, guys, is the cargo van that is decked out with a bed, internet, everything. I can go anywhere. I could live for a week there,
Yeah, well, and you never know when a train's going to spill over and they're going to let the contents out of it and catch it on fire. They're going to set it on fire. You just don't know what's going to happen. So you have that opportunity. If you're prepared and you got a camper, you can split, even if it's just for a week or two.
Preparation, the other thing is that it's all relative. I always tell people to make sure you have cash out of the bank. And people say, well, how much cash? Well, there's people out there. I know people in Southern California that make $300,000 a year and are broke, have no money. They are leveraged and have bills, car payments, house payments, everything to the hilt, and have no money. What you need to do is make sure you have an emergency stash of cash if there's an emergency, and it's all relative to your lifestyle. Let's take someone on a pension or on Social Security. You should have 10% of that money set aside in cash, because look at the banking problems. We've seen this in the South. I've seen so many stories, all these banks in the South that, hey, we have no internet, we have no banking, online banking for 5 days. What do you do if you can't get money for 5-6 days? You got to have money. And I had people last summer when the Canadian internet company went out, there was all these people in the South. I mean, it's like, why? How was that possible that the banks went down in the South for 6 days? And I had multiple people write me and thank me because they had a stash and they had money, food, water, and everything put aside. Again, you can prep, you can go crazy with it. And Ninja's talked about this in the past where, hey, you can have too much. And you know, and the food will eventually go bad, but you need to prepare yourself for a longer period of time.
So we got, if you're going to move and you got to, try to rent, try to get a travel trailer, try to be mobile right now. It looks like it's fixing to get nutty in the next half a year, year or two. You know, there might be some really good deals that you can pick up later. We've got our preps, and I'm tempted to ask you, you know, if you have $100,000 in a bank, what percentage do you recommend? But it's really different for everybody. Everybody's situation's so different. But here's what I want to challenge you to do. Get a percentage that you're comfortable with having out of the bank at your house, and do that. And then get a percentage that you're comfortable with in precious metals to hedge against a dying economy, because that's what's going on right now. Precious metals always do good during war times. You know, they always do good in that kind of environment. So come up with a percentage of that, whatever you've got, and do that. And then come up with a percentage of food. How long can you survive without, you know, food? You know, come up with, hey, I want to be 3 months.
You know, one thing that from the first day I met you, hey, what do you think's important? Get out of debt, get out of debt, get out of debt. Now, even if you are in debt and you're trying to pay your bills down, you have to have an emergency stash. You've got to have cash set aside. That's part of this plan, and getting your debts paid down, to have a little peace of mind. You may, you know, owe $25,000 in the credit cards. You're not there yet, but if you've got a stash of cash that if something happens, you're protected. So, you know, get ready, guys. But always a pleasure coming on your show, man.
Absolutely, Dan.
And you know, take a look at I Allegedly on YouTube as well, guys. But you know,
he's got the most beautiful scenery. He's walking around
talking about gloom and doom. That's all.
Gloom and gloom. He's just talking about the economy and real factual things that are happening every day in this thunderdome of a world that we're entering into.
Just every day when we get up, you know, okay, are we going to make a video today? And then the news hits, and there's so much every day, guys. So, you know.
Right. That's not covered on legacy media.
Right.
That's the main thing. So, guys, thank you for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to be notified, because if I need to get a hold of you and something big happens, you'll be notified. It's kind of like I can send a text message to you. So, thanks for coming on, Dan.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Anytime.
Have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.